Okay folks, I've talked about the characters and the badniks. Now in the final part, I'll be talking about the animated series, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. So without any further, let us begin, shall we folks? First we'll start with Super Special Sonic Search and Smash Squad. In this episode, Sonic tells Scratch and Grounder a story of how they met, and I gotta say, it was really nice to explain how those two dumb bots were born. Not to mention the appearance of the robot competitors from Mean Bean Machine, also some funny moments to go with it. Oh, and Coconuts makes his appearance as well. Lovesick Sonic. In this episode, Sonic rescues a female hedgehog named Breezy, who happens to be Robotnik's secret agent. Not only that, she's actually a robot created by...
Yes?
You get the picture. Also, Robotnik plans to turn the village into Lake Robotnik by stealing its water supply. Plus a funny moment with Robotnik punching Grounder.
Silence!
Oh, I forgot to tell you, at the end of each episode, there's a segment called Sonic Says. I'm sure you folks are familiar with it, right? Where Sonic tells us what we should do or what we should not do, especially this segment, for example.
Kids, there's nothing more cool than being hugged by someone you like. But if someone tries to touch you in a place or in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's no good.
And speaking of Says segment, Sailor Moon has that as well. Trails of the Missing Tails. Sonic searches for Tails, who has been kidnapped by Robotnik's crazy cousin, Dr. Warpnik, who is banished to the Warp of Confusion. And the way he talks, he has this slurring speech impediment.
You're not going anywhere! You're my prisoner! And when my cousin Robotnik follows you in here, I'll...
What's also really weird is that Scratch, Grounder, and Coconuts turn into giant monsters. I mean, look at Scratch. He looks like a giant dragon chicken thing, and Grounder looks like Gigantor, and Coconuts looks like Mecha King Kong from King Kong Escapes with tusks. This episode is very weird. There's also an episode where Sonic first met Tails, and Tails' real name was announced. Miles.
Miles?
Yeah, I hate it.
Pseudo-Sonic. Dr. Robotnik has created a robotic replica of our beloved hero so that he can frame Sonic and put him in jail. This plot sounds rather familiar, doesn't it? It's similar to the storylines in the Archie comics and Man of the Year on Sonic Jam for the Sega Saturn. Grounder the Genius. Robotnik downloads a genius program on a chip to make him 1,000 times more smarter, but Grounder gets a hold of it and becomes more intelligent. I also noticed some video game sound effects were heard in this episode, like the ring sound effects from the Sonic games.
Hey! My virus cracked the system! Whoa! What a humongous program!
And speaking of video game sound effects, there's two episodes that have Nintendo sound effects, The Magic Castle and Attack of Pinball Fortress.
I'll make it so that every Mobius bill will have my dazzlingly cruel face on it.
Gotta time this just right for it's Bumper City.
Out of my way!
Wait!
There's also a 4-part saga called The Quest for the Chaos Emeralds, where Dr. Robotnik forces a scientist, Professor Einstein, to build a time machine so that the evil scientist can go back in time to get the 4 emeralds and become the Supreme High Robotnik. Now, what does this remind you of, folks? Looking for jewels that'll give the person ultimate power. It sounds rather familiar. I mean, where have I seen this before?
3 pieces of my ship fell to the earth. When they are joined, the possessor will have power undreamed of in your world.
Undreamed of power. I like the sound of that.
That's right, the 4-part saga, The Eye of Sarnath from the abysmal Season 2 of the 80s Ninja Turtles animated series. Not to mention, the person who wrote these 4 episodes of the Chaos Emeralds is none other than Jeffrey Scott, the guy who did the entire first season of Captain N the Game Master, and also the last season of Ninja Turtles, Season 10. Plus, he created the character Mung. Now, this saga has 4 consecutive episodes, so let's start with Blackbot the Pirate. Robotnik along with Scratch and Grounder go back in time to get the Chaos Emerald of Invisibility. Einstein warned Sonic and gave him atomic boots that allows him to travel through time. Would they ever exist, a pair of atomic boots in the future that'll allow a person to travel through time? Not to mention, will they build a device that'll turn anyone or anything into robots? Maybe. Anyway, Robotnik finds the map where the Chaos Emerald is located and arrives at an island shaped like an X? Okay. However, Sonic arrives on the island and finds the emerald first, but Robotnik gets to it and finds out that there's nothing in the chest. Somehow, Sonic got a hold of the emerald from inside the chest until Robotnik throws sand at him and steals it, also destroying Sonic's atomic boots. Now, our heroes are stuck in the past. Or are they? Hedgehog of the Hound table. Picking up where they left off from Blackbot the Pirate, Robotnik finds the Chaos Emerald of Invincibility, located at Merlink's the Magician's Lair. He gets the emerald, but in order to become invincible, he has to become King of the Hound table.
That shouldn't be a problem.
That is when Sonic arrives to stop Robothead until he brings out Merling's to turn Sonic's shoes into stone, and throws him and Tails in the dungeon. Plus, Robotnik is now invincible and super sexy! Robotnik's Pyramid Scheme. Dr. Robotnik goes back in time once again to get the Chaos Emerald of Immortality. Professor Kane Einstein tells Sonic that his family history is being erased. Sonic and Tails arrive at ancient Moby-Jip to stop Robotnik from kidnapping Masonic, one of Sonic's relatives. Right after that, Sonic gets a chili dog from Penelope, and as soon as he does, this happened.
Sonic, you're fading away.
Oh no! I just caused Masonic to miss the bait. That means I'm never gonna be born!
Sonic, he's gone.
But thanks to Tails, he was able to have Masonic meet Penelope, and Sonic was born again. Robotnik arrives in the pyramid, finds the emerald worn by Robotnik Hotep I, and becomes immortal. Plus, this episode features the rings and the energy shield that were seen in the Sonic games. Prehistoric Sonic. Dr. Robotnik goes back to the prehistoric times and finds the Chaos Emerald of Life at the top of the volcano. He gets the emerald and goes back to get the other three, heads back to the present, puts all four of them together, and becomes...
The Supreme High Robotnik, Master of the Universe!
Exactly, and it looks like no one in Mobius can stop the Supreme High Robotnik. No one, but... Sonic and his buddy Tails by going back to the past 5 times to get their past selves, that's how. Together, they team up to defeat the Supreme High Robotnik, in the most comical manner, just by tying up his mustache, pour flour, and all that kind of shit. Thus concludes the quest for the Chaos Emerald saga. In 1996, 3 years after the show's original airing, Deke made one more episode called Sonic Christmas Blast. This was the actual final episode of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. This special was a mix between of both this show and Sad AM. Chris Welsh, who voiced Tails, is now voiced by Chris Turner, and as for Sonic, as always, Jaleel White. The SWAT-bots from Sad AM also appeared as well, and they do not look anything like their counterparts from the Saturday morning animated series. Plus, Sally Acorn also appeared, and she does not say anything. Not to mention her fur is pink like in the Sad AM pilot and in the early Archie comics. Well, this concludes my 4-part review on Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and to close, this show is really fun to watch. It's fast-paced and full of slapstick humor like you see on Rocko's Modern Life, Ren and Stimpy, or Animaniacs. I hope you enjoyed this 4-part review. Until next time, folks, I'm up, over, and gone!